Happy birthday to the Genesis. Happy birthday to the Genesis. Happy birthday, dear Genesis. Happy birthday to you. I'm sorry, guys. I had to sing that song to the Sega Genesis. Yes. Some of you might be wondering, why am I singing a happy birthday song to the Genesis? Well, obviously, today is the 30th anniversary of the Sega Genesis console coming out in North America. So I'm going to be reading not reading, but I'm going to be saying some facts to y'all. And first, I'm going to do basically like a console review. Yeah, it's probably my first console review that I've ever done. And I don't have all the chords for the Genesis, so I can't play it. Not without a static in any way. And that's why I had to sell most of my games for the Genesis. But I do have one still. And it is called Super Monaco GP. From what I played of it, it's a fun racing game. And it's in good shape except for the top. I have to get that fixed. Like probably put some tape on it. But anyway, this is a good Genesis game from what I played of it. It's not the best Genesis game of all time, but it's definitely not the worst. And anyway, let's get started with the console review. This console right here was released on August 14th of 1989 in North America. This console, it says Sega Genesis right here, right there, Sega Genesis 16-bit. Shit, I can't even reach it. Here we go. 16-bit, and right here it says on. Let's see if I can get that damn glare off. On. And let's see. And it says power right there. And how you would turn a console on if you're new to getting a console. Obviously, it shows the on and off button. Right there. And all you have to do is go like this. To turn it on. And then this, you can stick your headphone jack in this port right there. And you got your volume selection. You can select from 0 all the way up to 10. So I think that's pretty cool. See, it's like this, and you can select it all the way up to 10. Then you got your reset button right here. And then you got your channel 3 and channel 4 right there that you can select from right there, inside there. And then this is what I'm missing out of all the Genesis cords. My Genesis, I thought it came with everything, but came to find out this didn't come with anything. This one, but this one did. And I have that cord. It says RF out. And then you got your AV out, which that's what I'm missing. And then you got your adapter. You can stick the adapter in this. Right there. And then on the front of the controller, front of this console, I was showing where you had the headphone jack, like right here. But you also have two controller ports. Right here, which represents player 1 right here, and player 2 right there. And yes, this is a great machine. And I had like 40 games for it at one time, and thinking, oh, I got a good deal literally one time at Genesis, which is that console, which is the Model 1 Genesis from 1989. And I think it was like 30, 40 games back in the day for like, maybe it was less than that, than what I remember. And anyway, it was like 20 or 30 at least Genesis games. This woman didn't know what she had, obviously. Anyway, she sold me all of them for $10 with the console. I'm like, damn. But yeah, anyway. So I sold most of the games because I couldn't play them without them staticking and stuff like that. So, and I believe it's that AV out port when I think about it. But anyway, I just showed the game that I own, the only game that I own, which is this one. And I got a controller, a 6-button controller. This is not the official Genesis controller from '89, like the 3-button controller. But this right here, this is Retrobit. This is not an official 6-button controller, sadly. But this controller, I think it came with the box of it too, and came with the controller and the Genesis because she couldn't find the other controller. But anyway, you got your X button right here. You got your Y button right there, and your Z button right there, and then right here, like for example, the original model controller would just have these 3 buttons right here on the bottom, A, B, and C, which y'all can see that's the A button, the B button, and the C button. Then you got your start button right there, and then you got your directional pad right there, up, down, left, right, so forth. And yeah, well, I'm going to be holding the Genesis right now, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about the facts to y'all. Like, read the facts that I've written, and while I'm going to do that, I'm going to be holding the Genesis up, because this is a beautiful Genesis console, and I want to wish it a proper happy birthday by talking about the facts. The launch titles of the Genesis, there was 8 games total in North America. Yeah, there were 8 games in a total as launch for North America's title and on the Sega Genesis. So the 8 games that were included, that came like as the launch titles, were Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle, Alter Beast, Ghouls and Ghosts, Golden Axe, Last Battle, Space Harrier 2, Thunder Force 2, and Tommy Lazzardo Baseball. So back then, if I was born in the 80s, obviously, I was born in the 90s, so I kind of grew up in the 90s a little bit with the 90s consoles and stuff. Like some of the Super Nintendo games and some of the Genesis games. But I did not grow up when it first came out, because I did not remember it coming out. It was way before my time. But anyway, I'm going to share 5 facts with y'all. Did you know that Sonic the Hedgehog was the best Sega Genesis? You know what I mean. Did you know that Sonic the Hedgehog was the best-selling game for the system with 15 million copies sold? Another one is Sega Genesis might have been discontinued in 1997 worldwide, but with the company At Games making consoles with many games in the console at one, it still lives on to this day, 30 years later. No joke. Even though the predecessor was the Master System, the successor was the Sega Saturn system. And number 4, Sega Genesis was called the Mega Drive in other countries, while North America called it the Genesis. And even though the console wars between the Genesis and Super Nintendo Entertainment System occurred over 20 years, almost 30 years ago, it remains as the best console war in gaming history. And that's a fact, guys. But yeah, I just wanted to hold a Genesis to show all of you properly what it looks like and stuff, because it's so beautiful and stuff, no doubt about it. I believe, to me, this is I know it's one of my favorite consoles of all time. But I don't know what number I would have to choose it to be if it was in my top 10. Be honest with all of you, it's kind of hard just to put it in my top 10. Because it's so beautiful and phenomenal, I would put it in my top 5, honestly. And yeah, look how beautiful this console is. So beautiful you could kiss it. Like that. But I can't believe I just done that on camera. But yes, this is the Sega Genesis. And once I get that AV out cord for it, or once I get another Sega Genesis Model 1 or a Model 2 Genesis, which I heard Model 2 works better than the Model 1. But I don't know about that because I never had the Model 2 or 3 Genesis. But once I get another Model 1 Genesis or a Model 2 Genesis, I'll make a video of it and stuff, obviously. And yeah, believe it or not, I think this is actually my first Sega related video that I've ever done. And I was Sega Saturn Gamer 48 for the longest time in the past Like I used to say, this is Sega Saturn Gamer 48, you know? And nowadays I'm the Video Gamer 64 and Mr. Arcade Retro Gamer 64. But yes, guys, I hope all of you guys basically are celebrating the 30-year anniversary, 30th birthday of the Sega Genesis releasing in North America. It is truly a great system. If you have any games for it and you have all the working chords, unlike me, feel free to play it. And play it, get you something to drink, and have a good time, you know, like Coke or Pepsi, whatever. And for me, I only got Super Monaco GP right now, but I'm thankful to have it. And yep. But anyways, guys, just have a good time playing the Sega Genesis on his 30th birthday. Well, anyways, guys, I hope all of you guys enjoyed this video of mine and my console review, basically on the Genesis. Feel free to subscribe to me on the Video Gamer 64 channel and my Mr. Arcade Retro Gamer 64 channel to see more videos on here. And this is the Video Gamer 64 and Mr. Arcade Retro Gamer 64 signing off.